Hi, and welcome to That's My Purse Pod, the podcast all about King of the Hill. I'm Jason.
And I'm Jimmy.
So, who would have thought, what is it, 2, 3 years later, we'd be back? I know we had the welcome back episode like a month or so ago, but still, it just kind of blows my mind. Like, for years, there have been rumors about King of the Hill coming back. Pretty much, like, as soon as it went off the air, there were rumors of, like, maybe Cartoon Network buying the rights or something like that. But here we are, 15 years later, King of the Hill is back.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm super excited. The build-up has been a lot though. I feel like just since the announcement and kind of things trickling here and there, and I'm just getting back from San Diego, so I just am coming back from Comic-Con, uh, where there was a lot of King of the Hill. Not a lot, but there was some King of the Hill stuff there. Um, I'm just I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about the future of King of the Hill.
Yeah, I I was nervous going in a little bit because I didn't know what would happen. Like, so many revivals have there've been good revivals here and there, but then there's been some that are just awful. Like, I know in my previous episode I talked about how much I didn't care for the Futurama revival on Hulu, and that made me worried about King of the Hill. But I think this one is doing all right.
I mean, I have opinions about. I've only seen the first episode, so we're just starting, guys, and both Jason and I have decided that we are going to watch along. So we're not any ahead of what we're speaking. Like we haven't even finished the season. Neither of us are on episode 2. So we're watching along just like as if we were with you guys. So I don't know anything else, but to say I'm not nervous for what's to come would be an untruthful statement. I don't know. I don't think it's an understatement, but I'm excited, nervous. I don't know. I'm ready for it.
Did
But
you actually get to do the King of the Hill experience? I was looking on the King of the Hill subreddit and saw a bunch of people posting pictures, and some of the food actually looked pretty good.
oh wait. So here's the thing. Um, I don't know. I don't like talking bad about an activation that I get invited. So I'm lucky enough that I'm able to help my friend do press for Comic Con. I don't know if my friend Karma. I think you
Yeah.
met her. Yeah. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to tag along with her. So we don't. We're able to get in earlier and do things a little faster. I would say that this activity was a little low on my list. I had a lot of fun though. The food was really good. It was very tiny, but it was very good. Like it was like a little piece of like rib meat, some coleslaw, something else was in there too. Some macaroni and cheese. It was really good. My complaint was we did get Alamo cans, but
Mm-hmm.
they were filled with water because they can't give us alcohol, I guess.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Like, could it just be that maybe there was some legal thing preventing them from giving away alcohol?
I think I think yes, because it wasn't at a bar. Because I've been to some of these of like they call them activations, but I've been to some of these activations where they do give you alcohol, but those are at bars. Like they team up with a bar, and so they. I guess maybe you need a license for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, maybe that is how it works, and they just
The
couldn't get it, or was they didn't have enough
yeah,
time, or they didn't want to pay for it, or something.
the can was cool. It was just like it is like holding an Alamo beer can. But when you open it, it was full of water. The water did not taste good. I think something about canned water is I don't know. It tasted like tap water that was canned, so I don't know. It was weird. It didn't, and it wasn't even that. I don't know. It was the thing was fun. I got to. They had a little cutout for Dale's dead bugs, so you could act like you're driving the thing, and I got to act like I'm driving a mower. Uh, I really wish now that I've seen the first episode, I really wish they would have like done things for this new season. Like if we could have had Bobby's restaurant. Oh, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. But things for this new season, I wish would have been a part of this. Um, it was fun. I think you would enjoy taking the pictures. I took a couple of pictures. I think that's what you would have enjoyed too. Um, I wish there was more. So it was a little let down in that area, but still a lot of fun.
I heard they didn't grill with propane.
No, because I guess fire laws or something like that. They couldn't have propane tanks out there, so um, yeah, it was just I don't know.
It's like you have a King of the Hill activation. You're doing barbecue. It's like you had one job, and that was to have propane grills. And what do they do? Charcoal?
Yeah, oh, I don't even know. Yeah, probably just charcoal. Man, there's so many things I wish would have happened. Like normally at Comic Con, Hulu brings all their shows like American Dad, Family Guy, Futurama, and they do one big thing for all the shows. I wish they would have done that and added King of the Hill, and then they would have taken over a restaurant and turned it into like Sugarfoot or something like that. And you could have gone into a real restaurant.
That would have been absolutely awesome. I wish they would have done that too.
Like there are so many. You've been to Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you go there, Comic Con basically takes over the whole city. Like the
Pretty
whole
much.
downtown area, Comic Con takes over. So restaurants love partnering up with stuff. So I think if they wanted to, they could have. It would have been great to walk into a restaurant from King of the Hill. Like I don't know what. I'm trying to think of what restaurant. Now I can't remember any of the Sugarfoot. What
The
was the
Arlen
restaurant that
Barn.
Bobby ate at? Yes,
Oh, the Showbiz Diner, the one where he got gout.
yes. Is that the one where he got out? That's
Yeah.
the different episode. But that's a different episode than the one where he dates the vegetarian girl and then he eats the
Oh
full steak,
yeah.
right?
The was it rattlesnakes or something like that? Where he eats the where
Yeah,
yeah
because
he
at the
eats the big
end,
steak.
yeah, he's like, I want the biggest steak.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that one. Arlen Barn. I actually want. I wish it were real because I kind of want to try the meatloaf sandwich.
From Marlin Barn?
Yep. Oh, speaking about the Alamo beer, so I'm going to go ahead and say we manifested it because we talked about it on the podcast. And then, like a week later, they announced it. So the Alamo Beer Company in San Antonio, Texas, did a collaboration with Hulu, and they released Alamo beer that looks like the can looks like the Alamo beer from the TV show. And like they're selling it at HEB, which to the non-Texans who listen to us, there are those of you out there. HEB is like the best grocery store in the world. It is a Texas staple. The I was looking on Reddit. All these people were talking about, oh, I went to the HEB in Dripping Springs and look at what I got.
Wait, they got the can?
Yeah,
Okay, I haven't been down the beer aisle in a while. I wonder if it is it just a limited time or is it like
I think it is a limited edition. I don't know when it runs out. Like, I don't know if they just made one batch and that's it, or if it's going to go until like mid September or whatever. I imagine it'll probably be around for a few more weeks.
yeah, I wonder how many. Well, I will tomorrow. I'll go to HEB. I'll see if I can grab one. Can I mail beer? Can you mail beer?
I mean, technically you could.
Maybe I can. I got something for you. I've already showed you that I got something for you at Comic Con. So maybe if I can find a beer, I will have to figure out how you mail it. I guess you just wrap it up, right? And it's just a can of
Yeah,
beer.
yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
So, and it
Oh,
doesn't have to be refrigerated, right? Beer doesn't have to be refrigerated.
no, if my understanding is if it is already refrigerated and then like you let it get to room temperature, it skunks the beer. But if like the beer is already room temperature, it could sit room temperature until you need to chill it. Unless you just like drinking warm beer, I guess.
Okay, I'm gonna try to find some room temp ones. Let me see if I can mail you a couple. Maybe we
Okay,
could try it together. One
that
of the
would be fun.
episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just read today. Apparently, the Hulu has teamed up with Whataburger in September, and for the month of September, they have some kind of special double meat King of the Hill deal. Let's see,
Interesting.
September 8th through the 12th. They have that, and I miss Whataburger, but Whataburger is now owned by some private equity firm out in Chicago, and it seems everybody that I see online talks about how bad Whataburger has become since the acquisition.
Huh. I mean, I don't think I've tasted anything. I don't have Whataburger though that often. So, huh. Now, well, I have to go now to try this sandwich.
Yeah, I think I've only since
I
moving to
wonder they.
California. I think I've only had it like 3 times, maybe.
Oh man, yeah. I don't. See, that's always the weird thing. I never crave the Texas style. I don't know. I don't really miss Whataburger though, but I don't know. Wait, controversial. Well, what is your thoughts on In and Out? I know you're not a Californian,
I think it is overrated. I do not understand the hype.
so I'm on the same boat. I am from California. Um, but here's my theory on it. Sorry, guys, little tangent, I guess as always. But here's my thought on In and Out: is that it used to be nostalgic for people from California. Like we used to be like, oh, you can only get In and Out when you're there, but now it's everywhere. So I think it's lost its magic.
Okay, yeah, maybe it has. I don't know. I remember when it first came to Austin was it like 2013, 2014, and everybody was oh my god, in and out. There was like lines out the a line at the drive-through that was like 2 hours long and stuff. And then I tried it and I'm like, it's fine. I don't get the
It's a lot of onions. Is that where you're like? It's a lot of onions.
no. It's just like it's fine. It's like whatever. I don't get why people are sitting in line for 2 hours for it, but okay.
Yeah, it's not worth 2 hours. It's kind of just a mid burger.
Yeah, it is a mid burger. Well, let's talk about something that I guess isn't mid, hopefully, and let's talk about the season 14, episode 1, Return of the King. It starts, interesting choice on how they chose to start the episode, because it starts in the airplane bathroom, and Hank is like struggling to pee. Like you even hear like the pee hitting the toilet bowl or whatever, but it's coming out in like little spurts, and it's due to his narrow urethra. And we see outside, and there's like a line of 6 or 7 people waiting to get in the bathroom, and somebody comments, "Oh, he's been in there since we entered U.S. airspace." And I actually, in my nerdy way, I was curious. Wait, so did they fly directly from Riyadh to America? And I had to look up flight paths. And the best I could come up with
Oh,
is that with British Airways, you can fly from Riyadh to London Heathrow to Dallas Fort Worth. And then so that means he flew from London Heathrow to Dallas Fort Worth. So when they entered U.S. airspace, he's been in the bathroom for at least 2 hours now.
hmm.
I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me, but okay. I had to just hang on to that. But then, Peggy being Peggy is just kind of spilling all of the information about, like, oh, he has a narrow urethra, but as he's gotten older, it's become more narrow. It's narrow like a 7-month-year-old or 7-month old and stuff. And, Peggy, Hank's overhearing it and he's embarrassed. And they even, like, oh, there's an announcement that the pilot does of like, if there's a doctor in the area, can you help the gentleman in the bathroom? And yeah, I don't know. To me, that was just a really like after 15 years, that was just a really weird opening. Not terrible. It just I would have rather them like open with them going like driving into Arlen or something. That probably would have been better. But I guess it was funny. I guess I shouldn't be such of a naysayer. Just it felt weird to me.
I mean, I agree totally with you on the opening, and I I cannot remember. Was this a thing though? I mean, yes, the narrow urethra is a thing, but like, I never remember Hank having a problem peeing. And I know she was like because of the diet change, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like this was very weird to
Yeah.
just like cold open the show. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess I would consider this a cold open to it. but we don't really get the intro until later.
Yeah, this is an episode where we do not get the standard King of the Hill intro. That's how the show starts. They do make a. I can't remember the exact episode. It's the episode. It's one of the episodes where he's talking to Cotton and how Hank never enlisted in the military, but then Hank corrects Cotton and says, I tried to, but they wouldn't let me because of my narrow urethra. The military was concerned that I wouldn't be able to relieve myself in a timely manner. So that's the only reference I can think of about him having difficulty peeing.
Mm. I mean, I'll take it, but it just if it, yeah, like you said, it just kind of felt like this is a weird way to start, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I get it. I get it because they want us to get to like him leaving the airplane. So you gotta start on the airplane.
Yep. Then they do leave the airplane, and as soon as Hank gets out, he kisses the ground of DFW, and he's happy to be back in America, happy to be back in Texas. But then things start to happen. It starts to happen really quick, where it's kind of the whole fish out of water thing. Basically they've been living in Saudi Arabia for the past 8ish years or so, and so times have changed in 8 years since they had been over there, and I guess they really hadn't kept in much contact with anybody or what was going on in Texas. So it's kind of a fish out of the water thing. Arlen has modernized, so one of the first things Hank notices is like, oh, there's a Bob's there. He's like, wait, no, Boba? Which some of these things I have to comment are kind of weird because it's like, okay, Dallas has had Boba for a long time. Really, you've only noticed Boba in the DFW now, but then he also notices like all the fancy shops, like you know Hermes and all that stuff, and he's like, "What? I thought this is in Amsterdam." And I guess I don't know. He was used to DFW having more down to earth shops. Then they get into the in universe version of Uber called Trip, and Hank is like confused about the whole process of ordering a phone or a car with his phone without actually calling it, like using an app. He like shows his ID to the driver to verify who he is, but the driver doesn't even care and puts the cars in. Driver's name's Mohammed, and in the traditional Peggy Hill fashion, just like with her Spanish, she speaks very poor Arabic, and Mohammed's like confused, and he's like, "Oh no, I speak Arabic. You must just be speaking a different dialect or something to that effect." And that's kind of where we figure out where Hank and Peggy have been the past few years. Peggy mentions, "Oh, we actually just got back from Saudi Arabia." Hank's like, "Yeah, I was assistant manager there selling Arabian propane and Arabian propane accessories for the Aramco." Car stops, but it's a hybrid, and so it sounds like the engine died. And Hank's like, "Oh, I think your car died," and he's like, "No, it's a hybrid." Then they stop by a taco place, and Hank's like, "Oh, can you let me in? And I want to get a taco because you can't get Mexican food in Saudi Arabia." And he goes in, and he sees the bathrooms and the doors, the little gender signs, and one's like somebody with a lasso, and the other is like. Even I was confused. I'm like, I have no idea what's the man or the woman. But then somebody comes in, and it's like, oh, they're all gender. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, stuff's happening, and Hank is confused.
I okay, at this point I love the callback to like Peggy can't speak any language well other than English. So I love kind of that kind of saying. Um, I don't know. I've flown out of DFW a lot, and I've always thought it was fancy. Like I don't know how often you've flown out of it a lot, right?
Not a lot. It's been a while, so I can't remember what DFW looks like. But it is one of the major airports in America. So
Yeah, I don't know. I always thought like, well, Arlen doesn't have an airport, right? They have a small thing though, don't they? Okay, I thought there was like a little. show strip.
Yeah, no, the few episodes we do see them flying, they always go to DFW.
Oh, because like DFW's always felt fancy to me. Like that's just you're gonna expect like the nice stores there, and I feel like even today, but I think it's like the comment on like today, it's like every airport has like the Gucci bag store, like the Louis Vuitton store in there. Also, who is buying those items? Like, oh, I forgot to get a Gucci bag before I my trip.
Yeah, the suitcase stores are always the ones that are just weird to me. It's like I want to meet the guy who like ran into the airport with like all of his clothes in his arms. It's like I hope that they have us. They're selling suitcases there.
Oh man, that. But I would love. I'm not a big coffee guy, so I don't drink a lot of coffee. But I would have loved a boba. Like I've never seen a boba tea store in any airport I've flown into. I would love boba tea before a flight.
Not even here in San Francisco, though. I'm sure it's been a while since I've flown out of the airport in Taipei. But seeing as how proud Taiwan is of boba tea, I'm willing to bet that there's boba tea shops there. I'm sitting here thinking I can't think of a boba tea shop here in SFO in the airport here. So, yeah,
I'm
even here
surprised
they
there's
don't
not
have it.
one there. Oh man, that I would love boba before. Like that would be my drink that I'd bring onto the airplane. Um, the bathroom thing. I okay, wait. Sorry. Before we get to the bathroom thing, I'm rewinding back to there, like getting off the airplane. Is it weird that Hank kisses the ground? I'm like, I feel like that's out of Hank character, but then like he's been gone for so long.
Yeah, I could see him like maybe getting on his knees and saying, "Oh, thank goodness I'm here," but actually kissing the ground seems a little off.
I don't know. It's these small things that I'm like, I don't know if Hank would do that. But then it's like he's been gone for so long that maybe he's that happy about it.
I think that's probably it. It's even if it's out of character, I think it's supposed to like signify how happy he is to be back in America, and then yeah, as we'll see in the rest of this episode and probably the rest of the season, definitely the rest of the episode, we'll see how Hank is having a hard time adjusting to the changes in the world or the changes in Arlen. Uh,
Uh, but my last thing before we move on to the next part, sorry, is the bathroom part when like the guy's like they're both all gender, and then he gets back into the cab. First of all, that God bless that Uber driver who made us unscheduled stop for Hank to pick up tacos. And how long was Hank in that restroom? I mean, judging by the airport. So God bless that guy. But when Hank gets back in the car and he asks Peggy, "Are we off gender?" And then Peggy says, "What does she say? I think I like to say I'm female presenting." And then Hank says, "Well, I don't want like he says something like I don't want like a woman to come in to the restroom." And then he makes a comment to Peggy like, "That's how you get canceled." I thought that was like I thought that was funny that Hank is very concerned about cancel culture and like he's like I cannot get canceled, guys.
Yeah, maybe it's also like meta commentary about them hoping that the show doesn't get canceled. Uh, though supposedly they're slated to at least get a season 15, and then we'll see what happens after that. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for season
But yeah, I
14.
thought that was
So
funny.
yeah,
Oh, really? Right now?
yep, yep.
Okay.
Moving forward, we get to see our first look at Bobby. Not a lot. We see more of him later in the episode, but we get to see his restaurant, Robota Chain. It is a fusion German Japanese restaurant, and we meet a character who I imagine is going to be a major character or a major minor character, Emilio, who is working in the kitchen with him, and he welcomes the customers in, and he explains the restaurant, and Bobby doesn't look too bad, honestly. I at first when they mentioned that there was going to be 8 year skip, I was like, okay, well, how are they going to make Bobby look? He doesn't look too bad, One complaint I have is it's just weird having that voice come out of a 21-year-old. Like, I wish they would have aged up his voice maybe a little.
I mean, I don't know. That didn't really bother me. This is how it is now that you say it. It is weird because everyone else's voice has really changed.
Yeah.
Just because people aged. So yeah, that's kind of weird that the decision was not to change Bobby's voice.
Yeah, because they kind of like they pretty much say in the show that he doesn't go through puberty throughout the show, even though he's 13, and that's why he still kind of has the kid voice or whatever. And he sounds pretty much the same. Maybe there's a slight variation in there, but he sounds pretty much the same as a 21-year-old.
Okay. Oh man, I don't want to jump ahead, but we meet another character, one of Bobby's friends. They kind of sound the same too, though, to me.
Yeah.
So maybe I need to hear how Joseph sounds
Yeah.
because we don't meet. So maybe they just all decided those kids would stay the same.
Yeah. That's true. Maybe that's the case. Though all the adults, like even I love one of the first things I noticed was that Peggy sounds a bit different, and some of the other adults sound like they've aged. Dale sounds different. Now I don't know if that's because of I need honestly I should have checked. I don't remember if this was probably one of the ones Johnny Hardwick recorded.
Oh, I would assume the first. I don't know if they would go in order of episodes, but I assume this would be the first they would record it, though.
Yes, I know Johnny Hardwick did manage to record a few episodes before he died. So this might be one of those. But even Boomhauer sounded a little different. Bill largely sound the same, but we'll get into those a bit later.
Oh, but I love that. I love that Bobby speaks Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I love that like Peggy's Spanish is bad, but Bobby has decent conversational Spanish.
Yes, he speaks with Spanish with Emilio, and it actually sounds proper.
Yeah, I thought that was just. Do you think that's like? Do you think Peggy taught him Spanish, and then he was like, "Oh wait, this isn't good."
I mean, in the Lupe's Revenge episode, when he brings like the Spanish dictionary to Mexico.
Oh yes, that is correct. Yeah.
I think he kind of knows that his mom's not a good Spanish speaker.
But I just thought it was a fun little twist. They're like, Bobby learned how to speak Spanish.
Yes, indeed, and I'm glad somebody in the family can. Just to show how disconnected Hank is, when the driver drops him off at the house, the driver says, "Oh, can you give me 5 stars?" And then Hank's like, "I'll give you 4 stars, so that's something that you could work up to." Which, PSA, yeah, don't do that. Anything less than 5 stars might as well be a 1 star. And that really hurts their business, like the Uber drivers. So unless they were god awful, please give them please give them 5 stars. But it's funny because Hank doesn't really understand that, so he gives him a 4 star. And then so the driver in return gives him a 2 star, which also, like, I get why they do it for the show, but that's not how any driving app I've ever seen works, where you can see how the driver rated you.
Oh yeah, because he gets on his phone like right away because he looks
Yeah.
at it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, Hank's, in his mindset, he's like, oh, 5 should be rare and stuff. And Peggy, of course, being herself's like, yep, I'm a 5 and I'm rare, is essentially what she says. While they were
I'm
gone,
glad Peggy hasn't changed.
yes, Peggy has not changed. She is still Peggy. So apparently, when they were gone, the Robertson family was staying in the house, renting it, I guess. Extra income, whatever, for the Hills while they're gone. And they leave some instructions like we went ahead and refilled the water heater. You got 4 good years on it now, and yada yada yada. And they're like, oh, we left pamphlets for solar panels in the back. And Hank's like, solar panels? I don't need religious propaganda in here. Hank goes outside to enjoy a nice beer, and we see the first one of the guys, Boomhauer. Boomhauer comes out and happy to see Hank. He says the name of the episode. Return is the Return of the King, and he hugs him. And then we are introduced. I forget the name of the little boy, but there's a little boy there who's wearing a mask on his chin, and apparently that is, I don't want to say stepson because Boomhauer doesn't seem to be married to the woman, but his girlfriend, his serious girlfriend's son. And I guess he's wearing the mask around still because he's a bit paranoid or so.
Yeah, he says, what is he like? He's an anxious kid or something like that.
Yeah.
I love that kid though. That kid is first he's playing Tetris, I believe. So I already love someone who plays Tetris. And then second, was it like Boomhauer says like say hi to my friend or something like that to the kid, and the kid's like, wait, what do you want me to do? What are you asking me to do?
Yep.
I just love the kid's like, what am I supposed to do here?
Yep. This kid has not learned how to speak Boomhauer yet.
Okay, wait, I have a question. So did Hank let them all know he was coming back, right? Because
I imagine he
Brian
did.
Robertson has to leave the house.
Yeah.
So Brian has to leave the house and the house is empty when they enter. So like, I don't know. I always thought it was weird that there was no kind of like welcome back for them.
Yeah. It seems like even Bill, which we hear him at this point, we don't see him till later, but even Bill, we hear him and it sounds like he's surprised to hear that Hank's back.
Yeah, but we knew Hank was coming back because Brian had to leave the house. And we meet Brian again. Yeah.
Yeah, all signs should have pointed to Hank coming back.
I just thought that was weird. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I actually prefer it this way, not to meet everyone at one time. I think it's better meeting everyone individually. But it is kind of weird, though. Like, your friends aren't there to greet you back.
Yeah, that's true. We get we get a pretty funny fake out coming up soon. We see Nancy and John Redcorn in like a nice house, and they're talking about how this will be their perfect dream house and stuff. So you're starting to think like, oh wow, did they hook up again or what's going on? And it turns out they're just like filming a promotional video. I guess Nancy and Redcorn are now like co-hosting a real estate YouTube show called Selling Arlen, and so this is like part of the promo. Apparently the show is Dale's idea, but I like the little comment section where it's like the guys are like, oh yeah, those two yeah, he's definitely tapping that or something like that, and then Nancy closes the computer. So yeah, so Nancy and Peggy have reconnected now.
Okay, wait. So this is a realtor web series that they're doing?
I think so. That was the impression I got.
Okay, because at first I thought it was that, and then on my rewatch I was like, is this a show about selling Arlen? Like, come visit Arlen? Because Nancy was a newscaster.
Yeah.
So I was like, is this about... Oh, what a callback, though, if it was their realtors and, like, the realtor company Peggy worked for.
Oh, yeah, that would be funny. Didn't even think
man,
about that.
But yeah, the comment. I love the comments. Redcorn was called Redcorn tapping that. That's we need shirts that say that.
We do. I love the fake out because at first I thought that was real. Like they were really talking about their dream home, and I was like, ooh, what happened? Did Dale and Nancy split up? Are they a throuple? What's going on? But then it turned like there's the fake out that, oh no, this is just like a promotional video.
Well, especially with the intro video we saw like last month with them getting in the car together. It's like, oh, something's happening for sure. But no, they're just filming their own web series.
Apparently it has some popularity to it.
Oh man, I didn't even check the view count. I bet there was a view count on there.
We'll have to do it on a rewatch then. Check the view count.
Yeah.
Yeah, my guess is that maybe, the news business is not friendly to women. So my guess is she probably quote unquote aged out of it, and so she's still trying to find a way to be like on TV or be a media presence, and this is how she's doing it. That's my guess. I haven't gotten further in the season, so I can't say for sure, but that's my guess there. Well, now we're back to Bobby. Bobby's back at the restaurant, and he's actually in his element. I really like seeing this part of Bobby. He's cooking. I mean, pun intended. He is a master chef, and he's so young. He's a co-owner of the restaurant. A bunch of college age kids show up, and they want to eat, and Bobby serves them, and they're impressed by the food, and they're impressed that Bobby is so young and owns his own restaurant, and they assume that he's like 31 or something like that, and he's like, no, I'm younger than that. And he's like 28. It's like, no, I'm 21. And so they assume, okay, so he's around our age, so what college are you going to? And Bobby mentions that he's not going to college, and then at first it sounds like their reaction is they kind of look down on him. But I love his response. He was just super confident, like, look, why am I going to spend money in 4 years figuring out what I want to do when I already know what I want to do and I'm doing it? And I think they respected that response, and they liked him, and they hung out for a while. And you've been in the food industry. You might know if this is a true statement or not when they're like, they're still here, it's time to close, and Emilio's like, turn the temperature down by 2 degrees and they will leave. Sure enough, like after a few minutes, like the girl puts on her coat and they're like, oh, I think maybe it's getting a little cold in here, maybe we should leave.
I've never experienced that in my work life in the restaurants I worked at, but I do know that is a thing though. Just in general, like changing the temperature slightly will like affect people.
I could see that. I could see that being a thing. I've personally never heard of it, so I was like, I wonder if that's an actual thing. I'm gonna ask Jimmy. He'd know.
Yeah, I've heard of that though, so I've never experienced it, but I know of that thing. Um, though, oh, well, but they weren't. Were they closing? I don't know if they were closing or not. Or are they trying to just get them to leave?
They were the last customers to leave, so I'm imagining they were closing or getting close to closing.
Because the traditional closing thing is you turn on all the lights, and that usually gets people out. You've been to a bar when they close, right? And then they turn on all the lights. This is the same with the restaurant. Like when you go in a restaurant, not all the lights are on, and then when it's time to close, all the lights are on.
Oh yeah.
So, what was I gonna say though? I loved the like when they asked Bobby his age. I was just like, oh, been there. Like when people were like, oh, are you this old? And you're like, I don't know, cause now I work with children, so whenever children are like, how old are you? And you're like, well, how old do you think I am? I always get like 100 and something. It's either 100 something or it's like 18.
Quite a range there.
I know, there's no middle ground. Uh, my question for you is the restaurant. Was Robota Chan?
Robota chain, yeah.
Okay, who came up like so we know like do you think Bobby approached him with the idea? Or do you think maybe we'll find out later, but what do you think? Like did Bobby approach him and he was like, sounds good, but we're gonna put my name on it?
My guess is it's the other way around. I feel like so I believe Ted Wasana-san owns the majority of that restaurant. Like he owns maybe say 70%, and then Shane owns 20%, and Bobby owns 10 or something. Like that is my guess. Like Ted definitely bankrolled it, and I think they might see Bobby as like a workhorse. Like supposedly, and we haven't gotten that far in the season, so if you've already gotten there, you can correct us where we're wrong. But supposedly Bobby was actually like on a Top Chef type TV show in universe, and I don't know if he won or not, but he did well. Like it was called King of the Grill, ironically, the name of the show in the universe. and so that might have launched like his career, and so they wanted to milk it and open up a restaurant and have him. Remember when Top Chef was in Austin in 2011 or whatnot? I can't remember the name of the owner, but he got blacklisted like after he beat up his girlfriend or something like that. I'm sorry we're getting dark on this episode, but like remember he blew up and he had like 4 restaurants in town. He had like Tycoon, and then he had, I forget all the other ones. I
Oh, you're
forget the
talking
name,
about
guys.
Paul Key, right?
Yes, he had the restaurant called Key, and yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He definitely ruined his career and life. But okay, I'm gonna say he had the best beef tongue dumplings I've ever had in my life.
Oh, his food was
Those were
good.
so good. Oh, it was delicious. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting though. If Bobby was on a cooking show, that's very interesting because of what happens at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Because if he won a cooking show, okay, well I'll come back to that when we get to the end. But that's interesting. Okay.
But yeah, supposedly he won a. I don't know if he won, but he competed and did well on the show, and so that probably helped. And
He
it
must have
just
done well,
reminded,
yeah.
yeah, it just reminded me of the whole Paul Key thing. Because I remember when he won Top Chef, then all this, because he wasn't a solo restaurateur at that time. He was working at like Uchiko, which was like a high end sushi restaurant in San Francisco, high end
Yeah.
sushi restaurant in Austin. So he was like
In
a
Austin,
chef
yeah.
there. He was like a sous chef there or something like that. And then he competed on Top Chef and won. And then all of a sudden, like, just people were throwing money at him to open restaurants in Austin. So I feel like it's a similar situation with Bobby and the Wasana songs, you know, threw money at him. And since most of the money is coming from the Wasana songs, like, the Hills probably don't have money to start a restaurant. So most of the money came from them. That they probably, chain required them to put his name on the restaurant. That's my theory anyway.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder like, cause the food is very well. I don't know that because it's like Asian style food, but with Bobby's flair on it. So yeah, maybe they had an idea for a restaurant already, and they're like, "We're gonna hire you, and you do your twist on it, and then we'll
Yep.
go." Okay.
Yeah. So as the people are leaving, they mention, "Oh, there's an Alpha Alpha party," and Bobby knows about it because he knows Chain Wasana-san, who is a member of Alpha Alpha, and then the kids or college students mention that, "Oh, Chain is the president of Alpha Alpha. I didn't know he worked here," and Bobby essentially says he doesn't. So it sounds like Chain's never in the restaurant despite being an owner. So probably effectively a silent partner. They invite him to the party, and he's like, "Yeah, sure." So, he's about to go, but then he realizes, he has to clean up. It's his restaurant; he needs to do the dishes and all that stuff. So he does that. Gets to the party a bit late. Some of the people are leaving, but this lady Amber was sticking around, and so he tries to hang out with her and impress her, and he cooks food, shows off his cooking skills and all that jazz, and he says, "You never know. As a master chef, you never know when you're going to have to cook. That's why I always carry hot sauce and a spatula with me."
I love the idea of carrying like a little condiment with you.
Yeah.
You never know when you're gonna need some hot sauce. But I respect this scene made me really be like, oh, Bobby is Hank's kid for sure. Because there is a part where he's like, maybe these dishes can wait for tomorrow. Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
comical stack of dishes, and then he ends up doing them all because he's responsible.
Yes, he is. He does wind up hooking up with the girl, and while they're making out, we see the scene in one of the trailers. He butt dials Peggy, and Peggy is like, "Yeah, oh, Bobby, Bobby, oh, it sounds like he's eating something," and then she hangs up, tries to call back, goes straight to voicemail. So, that was just kind of a funny little moment there. We get back to Hank being Hank. So it's one of those things where they've changed the road and they put the little barriers there, and you're not able to do like U-turns or right turns anywhere except for like a designated area. So Hank's upset because he's like, "Oh, I had to drive 5 extra blocks to do a turn, and that means every time we come home from the south, we're gonna have to drive an extra mile. It's like green my ass, and then Peggy's like, you know where this wouldn't be a problem is in Saudi Arabia, so she's clearly wanted to move back. And then we get back to Bobby, and then I'm like, I don't know. It's funny because he's like, they're putting on their clothes after hooking up, and he's like, oh, I've never done it with a guy who kept the shirt on, and Bobby thought it was actually a thing, but she was like, "Oh no, this is just a one night type of thing." And I want to circle back real quick before we move forward. The drive 5 blocks at Upset just reminds me so much of my grandmother. They live in this small little town in Wisconsin, and I don't know, maybe a decade ago they started putting roundabouts where the four-way intersections were, and she just constantly complains about how they put roundabouts there and they should have just kept the stop signs and stuff like that. It reminded me so much of that when Hank was like complaining about the little road barriers.
Oh yeah, not being able to make a U-turn though is the worst. Like, I'm surprised that is in Arlen though, because like, I mean, at least for me in Texas, it's slightly changing though a little bit. But like, we are the home of U-turns. Like, you could U-turn anywhere basically, and that's the joy of living here.
So as Bobby is leaving the dorms, he bumps into Connie. Bobby's like, "Oh, do you go to school here?" She's like, "No, I go to UT Dallas, the engineering school." And clearly, Connie probably had her own night of hooking up as well, which is why she was at the dorm. But they were chatting, and Bobby talks about how he's not on social media, and he and neither is Connie, and they chat a little bit. Bobby invites Connie to go to a Robota chain, and we learn that Joseph is actually Bobby's roommate, though we don't see Joseph in this episode. And it was kind of nice to see those two meet up again. It's unclear at this point how much time has passed since they've last talked, but clearly some time has passed.
Yeah, I really like it. I mean like well, isn't Bobby on social media now? Because what is he like? I took a week off, and he's like, then I came back, and now I'm like hashtag body positivity or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I love, ah man, Bob. I want to be Bobby's friend. Like Bobby's so cool. Like seems so genuinely nice.
He
So,
does.
and I don't know. It's just I, watching because we're kind of getting towards the end of like the episode, but like I love who Bobby's become so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bobby's become just like I think he's kept like the spirit of who he was as a kid, and he hasn't
Mm-hmm.
really lost that. Like he's still loving. Like even when she was like, "Oh, this is just a one night stand," he was like, "Well, thank you." Like he was just like, "Okay, cool." He was like, "Thanks," and then he kind of like it didn't seem like he was too sad or anything. Like it didn't like I think it hit him for a second, and then he like brushed it off. He was like, "Okay, well, we're moving on."
Moved
And
on with his life.
I really love that. Like, oh, Bobby's the greatest, and like, yeah, man, it made me sad to know like they drifted apart. I wish they were still at least friends if they couldn't make like a relationship work.
Yeah, my guess is after they all graduated high school, they kind of split ways. Because clearly Bobby, wanted to focus on his food career, and I mean, she kind of kept up with it because she indicates that she's aware of the fact that Bobby is in, oh gosh, that Bobby owns a restaurant now. So she kept up on some way. Maybe Chain told him, I don't know, but yeah, or maybe Chain told her, but yeah, she knows somehow. But yeah, they've clearly drifted apart. But they're going to rekindle something.
Yeah, so well, I mean, hopefully they hang out more. We'll see. Um, yeah, it doesn't look like she talks to anyone though. 'Cause she asked what Joseph was up to. So
Yeah. Well, we're going to see more of her in the season, so that's
yeah,
nice. We go back, and it looks like this new character, Brian Robertson, is now going to be one of the guys. So now it's a 5-person group. So like, he looks like it. He just got used to hanging out with the guys while he was living there, and he is now just kind of sticking around. and I am here for it. So he's the guy we thought was going to be Mohammed based on some of the early releases, but no, his name is Brian. And then we get our first look at Bill. So Bill is like, saying something and you can hear from him. So Hank walks over. Bill's bedroom window is open. So Hank walks over to the window and looks in. And we clearly see time has not been good to Bill. And this is probably my favorite moment in the whole episode is the Bill interaction where Bill is clearly a shut-in. He has gained a lot of weight and he has like a giant beard like a Gimli beard or something like that, and he is, he's apparently been in the house since 2020, so he's just been a shut-in, and it's like, what have you been doing this whole time? He's like, Netflix. I finished Netflix. Did you know when you end Netflix, they do something called a wellness check? Which then Hank's like, oh, we didn't get Netflix in Saudi Arabia. All we got was Fox News and CNN, which yeah, I'll talk a little bit about this later in the episode, but there was a lot of like political stuff that wasn't in the original 13 seasons that was a little weird, but hopefully it's not going to be a mainstay for the rest of the season. We see like all these, pizza boxes and stuff in the bushes, and there's flies flying around, and Bill's like, well, bring Peggy by the wall hole later, and Hank's like, wall hole? It's like, what do you out-of-housers call it? Oh, the window. So yeah, this is like my favorite part is the Bill part.
I love, what was it? Hank's looking in the bush and he's like, "This is cheese. It shouldn't be out in the sun." Okay, is it? I don't know. There's a lot of things Hank does that I'm like, would Hank do this? So there's that where he's talking to Bill in the wall hole, and he kind of just dumps his coffee into Bill's bushes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was that weird? Like I felt, or was Hank just like, "This is all garbage"?
Yeah, maybe he's just like, yeah, it's all trash anyway.
But then like, I don't know. I just feel like the old. This is so like the old Hank, the Hank I know, would have been like, "We gotta do something. Like we gotta clean this up now." Like I feel like he would have been out there. I maybe Hank is still like still trying to adjust back because he's been hit with a lot of change quickly.
That's kind of my thought is like he's just still like kind of adjusting to everything that's going on. Oh, and then we get our final guy who shows up. We see Dale. He's apparently been hiding in the trash can the whole time, just kind of observing. And then he pops out. We learn that Dale became the mayor. He ran on an anti-mask, but he wanted to ban all masks, not just like the COVID masks, but also like
Gas
uh,
man.
gas masks and like all kinds of masks. And they're like, well, who would vote for them? And apparently Brian voted for him because he votes for the devil you know. So he's like, kind of the all politicians are bad, but at least I know Dale.
Wasn't he like Dale was following me home anyway?
Yeah. And then Boomhauer said he voted for Dale as a joke. But apparently there's 11 people running for office for the mayor, and Dale just won with 9% of the vote. So simple plurality got it for him. Then he's like, oh, Hank's like, oh, well, can you do something about these little flimsy plastic things? It's like they want to be a barrier, but they're not a man enough to go for it. And then he's like, oh, I was only mayor for 36 hours, but then I denied the results of my own election. And then he's like, yeah, there's no. Then he like mocks democracy, and he's like, any democracy that puts me into office isn't a good one.
And then the social security number. That's I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
where does
yeah,
he say is like I spent $45 I spent to get that social security number? And it's like it was from a dead 4-year old or something like that.
yeah,
I was like, oh, this is dark. I'm glad Hank was like, someone was like, ew, when he said
yep,
that, and I was like, my thoughts exactly.
yeah. That was a weird response, but hey, what are you gonna do? We get to Peggy and Hank in bed, and they're kind of talking, and it's like, oh, I can't wait to see Bobby again. I need to check his tire pressure and his brake fluid, which is an absolute Hank thing to say. And the Peggy's just kind of flashing back to the good times in Saudi Arabia. We get a quick flashback. Peggy is at a market, and Hank's picking her up in a truck, which is one of the scenes we saw in one of the trailers. She's in the full, it's a burqa, I
Yeah.
believe, and the shopkeep is like yelling at her, and I assume that either she insulted him with her bad Arabic, or like she just haggled very poorly, but like misunderstood and so underpaid him or something like that. The guy's clearly angry. She gets back into the car, takes off the robe, but Hank's like, "Oh, I like you in your modest robe," but she's like, "Oh, I know, but it's nice being here and not getting catcalled." And I love Hank's response because it's like he's in disbelief that that ever happened, but then he's just like agrees. They go home and they go home and they live on, and this is actually like a real thing that exists in Saudi Arabia with Aramco. They have like these company towns almost that are like in this gated, almost like a military base, this gated area, but it's like an idealistic version of America. Even Hank's like, "Oh, this is like what it was in the 1950s or whatever." And they pull into this house and they actually have like wait staff there. And so, Peggy's like, "Oh, I'd love to go back to Saudi Arabia." And Hank's like, "We just, or was it a mistake that we moved back?" And Hank's like, "Oh, we're just jet lagged. I mean, look at the time. We are way past our bedtime." And I love how it pans over to the clock and it's like 9:30 p.m.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just. I mean, I would want to go back to that if I was living that life. And it's not like I'm surprised they only got two channels. I'm surprised they didn't have satellite TV or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like they were living in like what are they called? Like company towns, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know what you're saying about like they built, but it's like everyone from the company lives there. So it was just
Yeah.
like a mix of people. It didn't seem like they were culturally out of place.
Yeah. So technically, like, they were in Saudi Arabia, but also not in Saudi Arabia. Like, I guess geographically speaking, they were in Saudi Arabia, but they lived in this base, essentially, which was
Yeah.
designed to mimic America.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wonder. I don't know. I can't see. We'll see as the season goes on, but I wonder if it's just like because Bobby never made it out there, and that's why they wanted to come back because he's so
Yeah,
busy.
that could be it. And I'm sure it'll pop up later in the season.
Or you don't like when you're away from home for so long, and then like you remember it with like different like rose tinted glasses or whatever it's called. So
Mm-hmm.
like they were like, oh, it was so better back in Arlen than it was here, and now that they're back, they're like, oh, well, was it? I think that's what they're going through right now while they're in
Yep.
bed.
Yep. And then in the next day, we see that Aramco is calling Hank, and they really want him to go back. Like, they're gonna change their oil tanker to propane, and they're just like throwing whatever at him, which makes me feel like Hank was an amazing worker for them to be doing that. They're like, "Oh, 30% more pay, or we can give you the same house, or you can go in a bigger house and with the bowling alley, and we'll give you machine guns and horses, or whatever it is you Texans like." And I like how they say, "Oh, we can give you a better wife," essentially.
He's like, she can hear you.
Yeah, and then I like how they use like the euphemisms, like, "We can get you a sword," and by sword I mean a wife.
Yeah. And then what was Peggy say? Like, wait, was that this time where Peggy was like, maybe the new wife could do this for us?
Oh, it's like, maybe we can give Bobby the new wife.
Oh, can we give Bobby the new wife? Yes.
And I love when Hank's just driving through the city, and it's like making him upset because he's like, "Oh, what is poke anyway?" There's a poke restaurant. I don't know all these new restaurants. And then I like when he sees the Oklahoma style barbecue sign, and it makes him
Oh,
so angry that he drives over the barrier. Uh, they pull into Megalomart, and Hank's like, "I'm gonna go inside and buy a spanner wrench to calm myself down," which is such a Hank Hill thing to say.
But
He's
he
like,
also is like, I don't need it. I just need to
yeah,
buy it.
yeah, just to calm himself down, he needs to buy a winch for Bill. then he's like, there's Girl Scouts selling cookies out in the front, which, Hank goes by and he's like, oh, let me guess, are they gluten free? And they probably cost $50. And it's like, no, they're $5. There are gluten free ones, and those are $6. And then he's like, what's a metaverse? Do you guys have anything to do with that? Then he sees the caramel delights, or no,
he asked for Samoans.
Yeah, he asked for Samoas, and he's like, we don't have those, but we have caramel delights, just because it's not as offensive to Samoans, which he was all right with. But actually, fun fact, and this is the fun fact for today. So there are actually 2 bakeries that provide the Girl Scout cookies, and depending on what region you're in, you're going to get it from one of 2 bakeries. So Little Brownie Bakers and ABC Bakers. So the cookies have, even though they're the same recipe, the cookies have different names depending on what bakery they come from. So there's Samoas if it comes from Little Brownie Bakers, but it's Caramel Delights if it comes from ABC Bakers. So fun fact, if you've ever been curious.
So back here in the South in Texas, we used to get Samoas all the time, and now we
Yep.
don't get them. So did they just redistrict the factories?
Maybe?
Because I was very confused when not like super confused, because I do understand that they're the same cookie, but I don't know. But I did like that scene though. I liked that little interaction with the Girl Scouts. That was cute.
Yeah, and then the guy comes up and it's like, oh, you've got a Sawzall. Can I get... Yeah, I've been wanting to get one of those. Oh, are you a contractor? No. Well, you can use my contractor number to get a 20% discount. And I don't know. There's just something about that moment. And it did seem a bit forced to me, but there's something about that moment that makes Hank and Peggy decide to stay in Arlen.
Yeah, they also bought one of every cookie too.
Yeah.
Did you see where he's like, I'll take one of each. FYI, not all Girl Scout cookies are good, everyone. They're not. Some are bangers, but then there are some that are just should not be available.
Okay, real quick. What is your favorite and what is your least favorite?
Okay, this is a hot. My favorite is Caramel Delights. I love a Caramel Delight. Okay, this is a personal thing, but I really hate chocolate and mint. My least favorite is a thin mint. I know it's gonna trigger some people because I know that's a really popular cookie, but I do not like thin mints. Least favorite.
Believe it or not, I am right there with you. For some reason, mint chocolate doesn't bother me in general, but for some reason, in the thin mint form, it does.
And I've tried them frozen.
Yeah?
I've tried Thin Mints frozen because everyone's like, put it in the freezer, it's better. I tried it. No, it's just a frozen version of that cookie. It doesn't get any better, guys. Oh, I think one of my least favorite though is the short.
Okay, I actually like trefoils.
I just think if I'm getting a Girl Scout cookie, I'm going extravagant, guys. And I think Caramel Delight is the most luxurious. It's the most extravagant cookie they sell.
Okay, I mean, I'll give you that like trefoils are very basic. That it's just a generic shortbread cookie, but maybe I'm a very basic person, but I really enjoy trefoils.
I need to see all the cookies now. There was a Oh, you know what cookie I miss? I think they got rid of it. It's the what is it called? Toast? Yes, toast. It's the one that tastes like French toast.
I think they still have it here in
Do
California.
they? Oh, well. Next time you gotta give give me a couple. There was also another lemon cookie. It wasn't lemonades. It was a different lemon cookie.
Before we move on, do you remember the John Mulaney bit that he did on
Oh, where you
SNL
can't
about
get
Girl Scout cookies?
Yeah, I can order everything online, but I can't order Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah, which is like weird. Like, yeah, you can buy literally anything you want, but Girl Scout cookies you have to. Now, granted, you can like just go out in front of any grocery store. There's inevitably going to be Girl Scouts with a table selling cookies. But yeah, it's like, oh, I need to know somebody whose daughter is in
Yeah.
Girl Scouts in order to get the cookies.
Oh man, That's John Mulaney, early John Mulaney.
Yeah.
S'mores. That's also a good one that they. I know they got rid of that one this year because there
Oh,
was no
now I'm
s'mores
sad.
this year.
I love s'mores. Now I'm
Lemon
sad.
Ups. I think that's what it's called. Lemon Ups. It was like a lemon sandwich cookie.
I vaguely remember it.
Should we do a Girl Scout cookie podcast?
We
Remember
should.
what was it? Was it Full Metal that I ever did? Every episode I basically was like, should we do a podcast about this random thing?
Yeah.
Guys, if you want us to do a Girl Scout cookie podcast where every week we talk about a different Girl Scout cookie for an hour, you let us know. We'll do it.
Exactly. I'd be down. All right. Final
The
scene in the
retired Girl
episode.
Scout cookies. Yeah.
Yep. Final scene in the episode, and I actually can relate to something Hank says here. So Hank is like barbecuing, or excuse me, he's grilling because that is not barbecue. But he's grilling, and he's like, "Oh, I got the new Wagner Char King. You do not see this in Saudi Arabia." And he's like, "It has a touchscreen, presets, Wi-Fi, remote temperature." Then it pans to the recycling bin, and he's like, "I got rid of all of that." He like threw all those features away. He's like, "I shouldn't need to check an app or whatever." And I'm like, I'm 100% on board with him on that one. I remember when I went to go buy a new refrigerator. I was at the appliance store, and there was a guy there, or there was like, I overheard a conversation of somebody who was trying to buy a new stove, and the salesperson was talking about like, "Oh, and you could turn this on with an app, and it's Wi-Fi enabled." And I'm like, why? I'm thinking to myself, why would I ever need that for a stove? Like, okay, I work in tech. I love big tech. Not everything needs to be smart. I will say that, and that's a hill I will die on. Not every device needs to be a smart device.
You could turn your stove on with the app. Did it come with a year subscription of Spotify with it as well?
Probably. Bobby shows up, and this we get this scene in one of the trailers where he shows up. He has steaks with him, and Hank is like, "Oh, there's my son. Give me a big," and he looks like he's gonna give a hug. Like, by the way, his arms are out, but he's like a handshake, and Bobby and Hank shake hands, and he's like, "Well, now that I'm a professional, let me know when I can take over." And Hank's like, "A professional comedian. If you ever think I'm gonna let you take over," and then now we see Bill. He runs out of the house, knocks over the steaks, and I guess he's mobile. Like, even though he was bedridden for presumably 5 years, but he's mobile, and
He's
you know
fast though. He's
yeah
fast. He,
but he's
more than
definitely
Bobby.
fatter than what we
Oh
saw him
yeah.
when we left. And he's happy, and we see all the guys standing around the grill drinking beer. But then I like how Brian's like, he's butt naked under that shirt, right? Because he's just wearing a long shirt. Like, I don't even think he's wearing shoes or sandals. He's just wearing a long shirt. And then this episode ends with them playing the new opening, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. This is what I was gonna say in the beginning, like when we're talking about Bobby winning that show. If Bobby did really well on a cooking show, it's just a funny thing for Hank to say. Do you know what I mean? Like professional
Yeah.
comedian. But I get it though. I feel like all cooks, like even when you become a cook and you've cooked in restaurants before and stuff like that, and then you go home, like your parents still won't let you cook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're like, well, you cook your thing there. This is like home cooking.
Yeah, and I think Hank's probably the type of person who doesn't want other people like messing with his grill.
But then so now that I'm thinking about it, which is like very, I wish they did grill together, just like a throwback to, remember that the last episode, not the last extra episode, but the last aired one,
Yeah.
where Bobby gets the little grill, like the grill next to Hank, and they grill together.
Yep.
There was two grills. That thing had two grills, like two
That's
respective.
true.
They could have grilled together.
That's true. The new Wagner did have like two grill tops
Two
to it.
areas, yeah. I just think there was some missed chances for some callbacks in this episode.
Yeah, because that was a sweet way the original season ended with like
Oh yeah. where he gets it delivered. Oh, when
Yeah.
Bobby's home and he gets it delivered. That episode's so great. That's a fun episode.
Yeah. So thoughts like what were your thoughts of this episode? Like after where it's been 15 years, we're coming back. There's an 8-year time skip. How are you feeling about the season after this episode?
Okay, this episode was a roller coaster for me, and I feel like I kind of expressed it in the beginning of our episode, is that I was starting off this episode. It just felt like culture joke after like we're gonna like talk about the culture. We're gonna make this joke like here right like one after the other. It was so fast like the bathrooms, the Uber ride, the stops, and all that stuff was kind of just like all. It was like how many of these kind of things can we fit into one episode of like how the world's changed from when Hank was here. When I thought this could have been a slow burn through the season, I just felt like it might have been overdone for me. Like the jokes of back in the early 2000s it was like this or whenever before you left it was like this but now it's different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that was what upset me, and I don't even want to say upset because it was still a good episode. It just the pacing was a bit weird, and I think what it was they were just wanting to do just a massive exposition dump and like get it over with in the first episode so they can move forward.
Yeah, what it really felt for me is like this is the episode they pitched to bring the show back with, and they were like,
Yeah,
this is how many funny jokes about how things are like. So I'm expecting it to slow down through the rest of the season, but it was
yeah,
just like this is our pitch episode to like bring King of the Hill back. But where it really got me, so I through this whole episode, I was kind of like, I don't know, this is kind of, is this gonna be like where they are out of touch with what King of the Hill was back in the day because it's been so long? But it really wrapped up together with the Girl Scouts
yeah,
when like it was that thing, one of the Girl Scout or when Hank was like, "That's a good change." He was talking
yep,
about the name of the cookies. They're changing to Carol Demolites. He's like, "Well, that's a good change." And I was like, "Okay, cool." I feel like, this is kind of all wrapping up nicely for me now. Like
yeah,
it's full circle. Like Hank's like, "Okay, maybe there are some good things in these changes." Like we'll see. Maybe Hank's gonna evolve a little. We'll see. But I was like, "Okay, I'm back with it." Hank's coming around. He's not gonna be like a fish out of water because Hank's not supposed to be like a total fish out of water. You know what I mean? He's kind of trying to be like this his own thing, but it never was like he was the outsider in. If that makes sense.
yeah. And I think that's what I liked about it. I mean, so I don't know That scene was nice, but it was also kind of weird. Like, okay, that moment is what convinced you to stay in Ireland.
Oh, because like the community all came together to eat his
Yeah,
cookies.
yeah,
That was weird. Like you can use my contractor number. It was too overly friendly. Like that was like before it was like culture shock for him, and now it's like over hospitality. Like this community coming together at Megalo Mart.
yeah. It just seemed weird, but I think I mean, I guess I agree with you. It would have been nice if they just kind of had the fish out of water moments like strung throughout the entire
Yeah,
season, and maybe they will. But I think what they just wanted to do is just a massive dump of everything and get like it's been you know in the real world it's been 15 years. In universe it's been 8.
yeah,
Let's just get it over with. Like let's get the questions out and that everybody has and whatnot, and let's also kind of set the stage for what the rest of the season's going to be about, and take it from there. So, I don't know if you follow Squirrel Tactics on YouTube. If you guys don't subscribe to him, he does really in depth reviews of like King of the Hill episodes and whatnot. And I watched his video where he did a review. He did a quick 7-minute video where he kind of reviewed the first episode, and he does say that it gets better within the season. So, stick with us, and we will cover all those episodes.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that it was just this, like, I know that they got better story, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's so much to explore. So I'm hoping we got it all out of the way, and now we can like get into some funny storylines.
Yep, let's do it. I hope we get some more regular King of the Hill, and I think from what I've heard, we're gonna have better episodes moving forward. So, there's 9 more episodes in the season, so stick with us, and we will cover that. Anything else, Jimmy?
No, I'm excited to be back. I'm excited for all you who have come back to listen to us, and I'm ready to watch this rest of the season with you.
Stick with us as we review episode 2 next time. Until then, I'm Jason.
And I'm Jimmy.
Bye.
Bye.